What is up, fight fans? I am flying solo today. I thought I would recap all the stuff that's been happening. There's been a lot of stuff happening this week and over the weekend. I'm going to chat to Sylvester Chipfumbu about his side of events, as what has happened with the EFC and what has happened with UAE Warriors. For those of you that don't know the situation, Ray Borg was set to fight for the title against Vinicius de Oliveira in the UAE Warriors for the bantamweight title in front of Dana White in Abu Dhabi. That's for Dana White looking for a fight ahead of UFC 267 in Abu Dhabi. Ray Borg tested positive for COVID, and as luck would have it, the phone rang for one and only Sylvester Chipfumbu to take a very tough last-minute fight for the title at UAE Warriors in front of Dana White. Obviously, with a stellar performance, the chance of getting a Contender Series contract or a UFC contract alongside him will be none other than his teammate and longtime friend Timber Garimbo. And also on that card will be Zakir Badat, who we will chat to early next week. Both Zach and Timber have had a few opponent changes. They've been up and down, but everything seems to be settled now, and they both will be performing in front of Dana White and looking for a chance to get that UFC contract. Timber Garimbo messaged me today to give an update on what's the situation with his fight. He will now be fighting Henderson Ferreira, a tough Brazilian who's fought in the PFL. He's fought in UAE Warriors before. He was set to face somebody else. It seems to have changed a couple of times, but luckily he still has an opponent and he still gets his chance. We all know Timber's been looking for this for a long time. He's been trying to get onto the UFC radar. He was supposed to go to Dana White Contender Series, but COVID and visa issues and all sorts of other things have kept him back. So he's finally going to get his shot. And obviously, we wish all those guys the best. I know the next question from people always is to ask me, where can we watch and when? 29 October, Abu Dhabi, the time is pretty similar. I think there's about a 2-hour difference. I will post closer to the time exactly how you can do it. UAE Warriors is either on the app or on YouTube. That's how it normally works. And then obviously the big one that everyone has been talking about today, as things have erupted, is Don Madge in his PFL debut. We're all very, very excited. Don's been out for quite some time, getting close on 2 years. Obviously, him and the UFC have parted ways. There is an interview up on YouTube if you want to check out Don's thoughts and what's happened with the UFC. I know people are still asking me about that. Go onto our YouTube page, check it out. I did have a chat with Don about everything that's happened and how the PFL came about. This is the 27th, which is next week, Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, so it's a week out from today. Obviously, again, the next question is, how do we watch? From what I understand, it will be on YouTube starting 10:30 local time. Don is the first fight on the card, so you can expect to see him from just after 10:30 on YouTube. From what I understand, the main card will be on ESPN if you're a DSTV subscriber, so you can carry on watching the action from there. So that's a very cool week coming up. Next week, we've got Wednesday, we've got Don Madge making his debut in the PFL. And then we've got Timber Garimbo, Zakir Badat, and Sylvester Chipfumbu all fighting at UAE Warriors in front of Dana White, and that will be the curtain raiser for the UFC, which is UFC 267, which is a massively stacked card. I'll get into that a little bit next week. We'll take a look at what we expect from Abu Dhabi. Obviously, Abu Dhabi is always a special one for me after being there for Don Madge's second UFC fight. It's such a great place, and it's obviously in the news again today. It seems that Fight Island is probably going to be jacked up again and popping. I don't know if people saw, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that the US has released new travel requirements for international visitors, and that's going to obviously affect UFC athletes coming from around the world. They will have to be fully vaccinated to enter America, which is obviously makes things slightly interesting for those that are not really all that interested in vaccines. I'm sure most will just negate the risk and kind of do it. Those are government sanctioned rules. They're not the UFC rules, but they are going to require full vaccinations to enter the US. And Dana's hinting at that perhaps the return to Fight Island is going to happen to kind of negate those things. And if there's people that are not all that interested in being vaccinated, that's where they will go. So it read, foreign national air travelers to the United States will be required to be fully vaccinated and to provide proof of their vaccination status to fly to the United States. The memo reads, fully vaccinated travelers will also be required to show a pre-departure negative COVID-19 test taken within 3 days of travel prior to boarding their flight. This policy also applies to foreign nationals crossing the land borders with Canada and Mexico or arriving in the United States by passenger ferry. I don't know much about the States. I don't know how many people come via passenger ferry, but anyway, yeah, that's one of those weird things. And I guess in the world of sports, that what we can start to expect, especially when it comes to international travel. So get vaccinated, I guess, kids, or don't, and hopefully go to Fight Island. And it's entirely up to you, but it's definitely going to get interesting. So that's what's happening from a vaccine point of view and a South African point of view. The other thing is we are inching closer to EFC 90, I think it is, in November, which is, I want to say, the 6th of November. I'll check it out shortly. And it seems we have somewhat of a card. I just want to see what it looks like. There we go. Obviously, we're going to speak to Sylvester Chipfumbu soon. He was touted to fight Sindile Malengela to defend his bantamweight title. From what I understand, there's obviously a bit of a contract dispute between him and the UFC. And so Faiz Jacobs gets the call up, obviously coming off a bit of a skid. He gets another chance. And I mean, this is the thing, like, obviously we're really sad for Sylvester Chipfumbu, but excited that someone like Faiz gets another crack at it. You know, he's such a popular guy, and fan favorite, I guess. He's got a fan favorite style and personality about him. And obviously he explained he went through a bit of a tough time through COVID, like most of us did. So he's getting another shot at the title against another tough opponent. Obviously, I will get into this closer to the time, and I'll take a look at the card and what I expect and give my point of view. Just to have a little breeze through that card, we've got Madiba versus Harvey, who's coming in from Scotland. Kira Harvey, we will speak to him probably next week as well to hear what he's all about. Also from high level mixed martial arts, the same gym as Danny Henry and Callum Murray to some degree. So he is making his pro debut from what sorry, I'm mistaken. His EFC debut is what I mean to say, against Tumisang Madiba, the return of Tumisang at long last. I'm sure that'll be exciting as a co-main event. Nicholas Wende gets a bump up on the card to face Taka Mahandu on his second appearance out here. And then there's a heavyweight mashup between two massive men. There's a Senegalese wrestler, Papa Ibrahima. I don't know what that's all about. Call Bozap Ndur. From what I understand is EFC been talking about this guy for a while as a traditional Senegalese wrestler, much like you're seeing in KSW and Aries and, you know, guys like Rugrug, those kind of guys. They're in high demand. Everybody's after him. He faces the returning Nico Yamji, Kaylee Niedermeyer, up onto the main card of fight, the returning Jackie Russia. One I'm very excited to see is Peace Ngubani, who's making his pro debut, and Yaku Duplessis as well, also making his pro debut, and so on. I'll get into the card. I'm going to put this up tomorrow and see what everybody's thoughts are. It's not the card I was expecting, if I'm honest. The way I believed is that they had gone with a fight night to kind of really bolster up this card. Yeah, interesting. Let's see how it goes. There's some interesting bars for you. Zulu, this is 91 for the 4th of December. Look at that. Kazimulo Zulu versus Lutando Biko, and Ronaldo Exon returns to defend his title against August Kayambala, which was spoken about. I think at the last event or when August 4th recently. So that's shaping up to be a nice card. Long may it last. Like I said, we will obviously come back to that and discuss the EFC cards as they go. A little bit closer to the time, as well as the UFC 267 coming up soon. Yeah, I think that's about it. If you've missed any news for the week locally, I think I've covered the majors. And the big talking point, obviously, for the week were the vaccine mandates for the government, which made things a bit difficult. I'm just seeing now interesting affairs happening over at the UFC. Apparently, it looks like Paulo Costa is heavily overweight, according to Marvin Vittori, and where he's basically saying expect a drama show. He's suggesting that his camp was asked to change the weight division, which should be very interesting. Keep a close eye on that. Let's see if Costa will make weight. I just want to talk about the weekend. Obviously, the weekend's card, UFC card, wasn't all that exciting for most. The main event was a bit of a sleeper, but just the MVP, my boy Jim Miller, with another knockout and some crazy stats and records. I think him and Cowboy Cerrone are leading the way on all-time winning stats. It's pretty incredible what he's still doing, and says he wants to keep going to UFC 300. So I'll say power to him. Fantastic to see how they're going to match him up and keep him going along. It should be super interesting. Anyways, let's jump into it. We're going to be joined by Sylvester Chipfumbu. Like I said, Ray Borg has tested positive for COVID. Unfortunately for him, he was set to fight for the bantamweight title at the UAE Warriors. Obviously, he is out of that fight and enter Sylvester Chipfumbu. Should be super interesting. Obviously, again, in front of Dana White. And a good performance could get him, Temba, or Zach, or all three a shot in the UFC. Let's see what he has to say. It looks like you've got some Arabic gear around your shoulders there, ready for the desert.
Yeah. Getting ready for Abu Dhabi.
Well, the Gladiator, you have been the talk of the town of last few days, maybe a week or so. I want to start there if we can. Obviously, the news came out. We saw Sindile Manangela versus Faiz Jacobs was touted as the bantamweight title fight, which raised a lot of questions. So I just wanted to clear this up. It was actually what I really wanted to talk to you about, and then obviously fight news came along, so it was a double whammy. I want to hear from your side with regards to the EFC. I mean, obviously online it went a bit crazy, a lot was said, but I thought I wanted to hear from your side exactly what went down in your opinion with the EFC firstly, and then we'll look at what's coming up in Abu Dhabi.
No, so what went down is I was supposed to defend against Sindile, right? And my long-term contract only expires in it was supposed to expire in December, according to my understanding. But then before this fight, I was told to sign another 6-fight contract. And then I said to them, no, I'll only sign a new contract once my old contract expires. And obviously there should be, as a champion, which I was expecting to beat Sindile, and I said to them, if I'm the champion by then, obviously I'll need a contract to know how much I was going to get paid for this fight. A contract with a remuneration, with numbers on it, and things like that. A contract that is numbers, that is everything written down on it, like, so that I know, okay, after Sindile, I'm gonna fight next year in March. This is how much I'm gonna fight for, because as much as we love fighting, man, at the end of the day, it's our job. It's what I do for a living. I need to put food on the table, and I need to secure my future. Look, I'm turning 30 soon, and I'm not getting any younger. And in a few years' time, I might retire, And for me, it doesn't make sense. Everyone wants to be a champion, But I just don't want to be called a champion, and then when I retire, I have nothing to show it in terms. I don't want to be one of those guys who retires and then a few years back I come back and try to fight again, things like that. I want to make a living. I know people say, "Oh, I don't do it for the money. I do it for the legacy." But maybe you should check their bank accounts before you listen to people like that. As much as we all are fighting men, more I think 3/4 of us we do it to put food on the table, and I think that's just what happened. And then I signed a fight contract with Sindile. I was training, cutting weight, and everything, And then the next day, Graham messages me saying, "No, we're moving on, and we're gonna give someone else the title fight, and then they get to fight." And I said, "Okay, cool. Like, I just need to be released and things like that, I think that's how it went. And considering how much I was getting paid, or was getting offered for my fight, it was as good as me not fighting, because my training came along cost a lot more than what I was gonna get paid for the fight. So as much as I love fighting, I also need to weigh in like the cost benefit analysis, see where it takes me at the end of the day. So sometimes if things don't work out, it is what it is. And honestly, I wasn't sure if I was gonna fight this year. And I just said to myself, if I don't fight this year, if I don't fight ever again, so be it. As long as I'm doing something that's gonna put food on the table for my family one day, as long as I'm gonna do something that secures my future financially, and I think that's the road that I decided to take. And fortunately for me, stars aligning. I just kept training, helping the guys. Some guys are gonna compete in the EFC soon. Some Timber is gonna fight in the UAE Warriors. So we just kept training and helping the guys. And then yesterday I got an offer to fight for the title.
I just want to touch on a couple of things there. You were under contract. You felt till the end of December. You posted, or I saw somewhere there was a piece of paper basically between for your fight for Sindile. Was that a bout agreement, or what was that situation?
Yeah, that was a bout agreement that I had signed. So my fight in Sindile was a done deal. I'd signed for it. I was preparing for it. I knew I was gonna fight Sindile on this date, and everything was done. And then the next day, they just said to me, "No, we gonna move on. We're gonna give it to someone else." Okay, to me, I'm not a legal expert, but I think it's a breach of contract. But obviously, they had their reasons, and yeah, no hard feelings. Like if that's how they want to run their business, obviously they want guys they think or they know are going to stay with them in the long run. But also as an athlete, you need to know also that especially financially, you're safe in the long run as well. Because if I sign a 6-fight contract, you never know by those 6 fights, that will be me. I'll be retiring, and what will I have to show in the next 5-6 years? Like I said before, I don't want to be one of those guys who comes back and try to fight again or go fight in bare knuckle fights. That's not what I want for myself.
And then the last kind of question I want to really ask on that. So you had signed the bout agreement, and then had they requested for you after that to sign a contract, a long-term contract? And
no,
that's,
I had the bout agreement.
okay.
Yeah.
So you had the bout agreement, and then they
I had
wanted
the bout agreement. They wanted
then,
me to sign it. I only signed the fight contract, and I said to them, "Look, the thing is, I had my legal team contact Graham, right? I think prior to that, and they wanted to discuss the long-term contract with him.
okay.
But I don't know. I don't know how he responded to their phone call. Like, it seems like he didn't want to talk to them, or he didn't want to communicate with them. He wanted to communicate with me directly. So my legal team came back to me and said, "Look, we tried to call this guy, and this is what he said. this is not going anywhere. So I said, okay, cool. For now, I'm just gonna sign the fight contract, and because also we had our demands, we also had what our terms and conditions on the long-term contract that we wanted to see on that contract. So they were trying to reach out to him, and to my understanding, he didn't take it very well, or he didn't communicate with them properly. He just shut them out because obviously I don't know, he wanted to communicate with me directly, or I don't know what the motive was.
Okay.
But so the last time I spoke with him, I said I will sign the contract. I just need to talk to my legal representatives first and see if the contract is okay, and see if our demands are met. That's what I said to him. I will sign the contract. But right now we were talking to my legal team, and then he said, no, your fight's off. We're moving on. Those were his words. And I said, okay, cool. If you're moving on, can you please release me? And then he said, no, you're not being released. And I said, just because I had signed a fight contract and he gave my fight to someone else, I think by this I'll take this as my informal or formal release. And he said to me, that's not how it works. You should talk to your legal team. And I spoke with them, and with what we had, with the offers we had in my phone, the messages, and the contract that we had signed, that's what we came down to, that we've been released because you had a contract to work, and your job has been given to someone else. I don't know, technically it means you are unemployed now. So yeah.
Okay. So the contract is out, the belt is gone. You were free agent for a couple of days, and then a call came. I want to play devil's advocate here a little bit, if I can, Sylvester. I'm trying to wear the hat of the EFC. Do you think that they might suspect that it was a plan all along to be a free agent and to lap up an offer from someone like UAE Warriors? Just to put it into perspective for people, because it's something I thought about today. Ray Borg tested positive for COVID maybe a couple of days back, maybe a day or two ago. He was set to fight for the title. It was obviously a big moment for him to be in front of Dana White and maybe get his, if he could get past Vinicius de Oliveira, if he could get a good fight in and maybe get back into the UFC, tested positive, which has all happened in the last maybe 72 to 48 hours. And then you got a call. So it's not possible that you were plotting these things with the EFC contracts and stuff, but do you think that they might feel that was your plan?
Look, they might. I don't know, but honestly, like, who would have known that I'll be fighting for the title in the UAE Warriors? Like, even if they had given me a contract on a normal day, do you think they would have given me a title shot straight away? I don't think that would have happened. I would have to have a couple of fights before I got the title fight. But obviously, if my contract had expired in December before I signed any new contract with anyone, just like any other smart athlete in any sport, I would have weighed my options. Depending on organizations that I could have joined. I'm sure that's what you would have done if you were in my shoes.
Sure.
And that's a no-brainer. Everyone would have done that. Even the guys that are fighting now, if their contract expires and maybe he's a champion or he's in a crazy winning streak, and if someone comes knocking, what do you think will happen? It's the same thing that will happen with everyone. It's unfortunate that the organization doesn't have the funds to remunerate the athletes what they deserve. But at the end of the day, I do my job. I train. I cut weight, I make weight, I do what's required, I show up, I give my performance of my lifetime. So on my part, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be done. So I feel like I should get remunerated what I deserve, regardless of the situation.
Okay. The stars aligned. Talk us through that, getting that call, and what your reaction was. Was it something you had to think about, or was it a yes, send me the plane ticket, I'm on my way? I mean, obviously it's a massive fight against a very tough opponent on short notice for a title in the UAE in front of Dana White. It doesn't get bigger than that, in terms of where you are in your space in your career. Talk us through how that all went down, and getting the phone call, and how it all played out.
It's crazy because yesterday in the morning I was coming from Iran, and then I get a call from a friend, and he says to me, this guy is pulled out, and they're looking for a replacement. Would you consider taking the fight? And I said, because my weight was low, and I've been training with the guys, like I said before, so mentally I'm there, because how it is with the guys when they have fights. You also have to be mentally there in order to be able to keep up with them. So yeah, like for me, it was a no-brainer, because honestly, I didn't see myself competing this year if this hadn't happened, and I was like, if I fight, I fight. Even next year, if I don't fight, I don't fight, whatever comes, whatever happens, and it's meant to be. So yesterday was like, it was like a stars aligning for me, because the night before I was actually checking the UAE card, checking out the bantamweights that are fighting at UAE 24 in the featherweight, and I was checking also the UFC card. I saw there were like 2 featherweight fights, and I was like, I'm going to Abu Dhabi. Anything can happen, man. So I should just stay ready. Tembo was telling me that all the time, like since he got the fight, he was just saying to me, just stay ready, train. Your weight should be low. You never know what happens when we go there, and so it's like I was in a fight camp already. And when I got the call yesterday, it was a no-brainer. I just said yes, and they sent the plane ticket. And because this is honestly, on a normal day, this is a long shot, performing in front of Dana White. Imagine if this hadn't happened. What are the chances of getting a contender series contract, or performing in front of Dana White, and Dana White looking for a fight? That's a long shot. So it's an opportunity that comes maybe once in a lifetime. So I don't think, as an athlete, as someone who's always ready, I should think about it. And and I know my opponent is a tough opponent, and I respect what he's gonna bring to the table on the night. But I've been an underdog before. My last fight, I was a massive underdog, and I came out on top. And I believe in myself. So yeah, I don't think there's anything to think about when it's my job. It's what I do. I just want one day to hear Bruce Buffer's voice saying it's time, and I'm in the octagon, and then after that have an interview with Joe Rogan. Is that too much to ask for?
we can't promise you Joe Rogan, but you can be on the BigAl podcast for now.
Absolutely.
Sylvester, you hit on quite a few things in it, and it's something I want to ask you about. How do you see this mentally? I mean, obviously you've said it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Being in front of Dana White as an athlete, you kind of, it's a no-brainer. You say yes to those things. Do you feel like it's a win-win situation for you, and the most important is just to put on a performance? Like, this was kind of thrown in your lap last minute. You've got a tough opponent. You've been prepared. You're prepared, so you've got a little bit of time to suss him out and get a bit of a game plan going yourself. your longtime friend and teammate Timber Garimba on the same card, traveling overseas together. Zach Badat's also going to be on the card. It's got like this high stakes feel about it. Obviously with Dana being in the building, and it's being billed that way, this looking for a fight, and guys are going to be talking about you, and you're going to be all over on these cool kind of shows, UFC kind of shows. How do you view that? Do you view that as it's like high pressure must win kind of situation, or do you see it as like a win-win, just to get your name in their mouths and onto the radar, and just focus on putting on a good performance?
I like I shouldn't be like, don't be mistaken. I'm going there to win, but like every other fight that I've had, especially since like when I fought Azzy and when I fought Faiz, like I have a different approach now to fights. Like when I fought Faiz, like I knew it was a title fight, but I didn't even think about the belt. My main objective was just to get in there, do my thing, do what I do in the gym and train, and block all the outside noise. So when I go in there on the 29th, I'm not gonna be thinking about Dana. I'm not gonna be thinking about this text. I'm going there to do what I always do every day. I don't want to put myself under pressure. I don't want to put myself under pressure and put all that weight on my shoulders. I think it kind of hinders my performance in a way. So I just want to do what I do every day, what I do best, and and instead of leaving it in my, I'm gonna wow everyone, and not because Dana is there, but it's because it's what I want to do every day for the rest of my life until I retire. So I'm gonna block all this outside noise. I don't want to get carried away by the fact that, oh, this person might be there, or it's gonna be on it's gonna be all over the world, or people are gonna know me and stuff like that. At the end of the day, people always love winners. You win that fight, people will talk about you. The day you lose, people go on their lives, they won't even talk about you. So at the end of the day, you should just worry about yourself. Do what you always do. Take care of yourself and take care of business, and everything else will follow. Dana White will give me the contract. People will talk about me if they have to, but I'm just there for myself, to do what I always do, to do what I've trained for, to do what I've prepared for my whole life, and it's moments like these that I've been waiting for my life. So I don't want to get carried away by the fact that Dana White is gonna be there. Dana is just gonna be a cherry on top for me.
What is it like? Obviously, this is all last minute and very exciting. What is it like to be going through this and traveling and competing with Temba? I mean, obviously, Temba's been a flag bearer for you guys for so long, and very pro Zimbabwean MMA, and trying to like go that extra length to really make sure that Zimbabwe is not forgotten, and staying true to his roots, and really always being your biggest supporter and cheerleader when you've been fighting, to now both be faced with the same opportunity at reaching the pinnacle of MMA.
And it's great, man. Like I think it's one of those moments we'll be talking about for the rest of our lives, that after all that's happened, we got the opportunity on the same night. We've been working towards the goal for a long time, and like Temba has been pushing since the Lau Karam fight. He's been pushing for moments like this, and what I like most about him is he always paves the way for his teammates. As he goes along, and whenever he achieves or he hits a breakthrough, he always carries his whole team with which is good. And I think you can never get people like Temba and Demat in the gym, people that always push you, people that you can always call any hour of the day for training, and they'll always be there for you. But yeah, so it's kind of exciting, and I can't wait to see Temba in the UFC, and paving way for the African continent, especially for the guys at UMF. We do have quite we're a small gym, in terms of numbers. But I believe the guys that we have, with the work ethic that we have, they can go far as long as they're given the opportunity. So if Temba and myself get that contract, I think it's going to be a game changer for the rest of the guys at the gym, and the rest of the guys at them in the African continent, because Temba is someone who speaks out for everyone, So I think it's going to open Dana White's eyes, because he speaks freely and he is always promoting African MMA. So I think it's gonna be a win for the rest of the guys in the African circuit.
Absolutely, man. And we're very excited the way this is all panned out. We've got a lot of exciting fighters and fights coming up all over the world, which is massively exciting. Sylvester, we wish you all the best, buddy. It's massively exciting. It's a huge opportunity for both of you guys and for Zach, but that as well. So we're super excited, and fly that flag hard, dude. And there's a lot of support for you here, and I'm sure in Zim as well. And we wish you all the best, buddy. And thank you for your time, man. And we'll chat to you soon.
Thanks for having me. All right. Thank you.
Anytime. Thanks, buddy. Have a good one. Cheers.
You too. Cheers.
Well, there you have it. Sylvester Chipfumbu, with the chance of a lifetime, headed to Abu Dhabi to perform in front of Dana White, in front of the whole world, basically, as I'm sure so many people are going to be tuning in because of the hype around the Dana White looking for a fight, and the opportunities that come with it. So hopefully our boys perform really well, and we get to see them making their long-awaited shots. Just to look at what else was happening over the weekend, obviously Ladd versus Dumont, there was a lot of controversy about Aspen Ladd's corner. I think that's pretty much been covered in the media the whole week. I'm not really going to get into that. What I did want to take a look at was the Petrosian knockout, or Petrosian being knocked out, I should say, in ONE FC. This was something pretty incredible by Superbon, one of the most vicious knockouts you've seen in a while. I think most of the MMA world, kickboxing world, was in quite a bit of shock with this one, but massively, that's kind of how the weekend's action started. The mighty Jim Miller, and shout out to Manon Fiorot, who keeps moving along. Another great performance. I think she's going to find herself in the position where they're going to be requesting more finishes from her pretty soon, but massive performance, real dominant, and super exciting, and excited to see where she goes from here. Obviously, it was the Bellator this weekend. The big talk of the town was Corey Anderson stopping Ryan Bader inside a minute with a great TKO, and moving on to the final of the Bellator light heavyweight Grand Prix, and he will fight Vladimir Nemkov, which is a super exciting matchup, especially in terms of Bellator. I know there's been a bit of talk about Scott Coker claiming as this will be the fight for the best 205 on the planet. Yeah, not too sure I agree with that, but very exciting nonetheless. Should be a great fight, and happy to see guys like Corey Anderson getting an opportunity outside of the UFC. And I mean, he's been quite vocal on about how the Bellator has really given him an opportunity, at life, and this is kind of where he's really making his money now. So it's been really cool. I really enjoyed this Grand Prix type setup that's mixed in around the fights, which has been pretty exciting. Hopefully we get to see guys like Rumble and Yoel Romero in there more often, and see where they go from there. But yeah, definitely a great division, and super exciting. This weekend's action, we've obviously got the headline of Paulo Costa versus Marvin Vettori. I was just speaking about earlier that seems that there's some problems with Paulo Costa's weight, but I mean, nothing official yet. We'll wait to see. Grant Dawson versus Rick Glenn, Jessica Rose Clark, who's a super exciting prospect, versus Jocelyn Edwards. My man Bruce Lee, Alex Caceres versus Singwoo Choi, which should be a cracker. Francisco Trinaldo versus Dwight Grant. Nicolau Negum, that's a name and a half, as Ike Villanueva. Ike Villanueva is one of those guys you just think he really doesn't look like he should be in there, but he manages to get it done. So yeah, another one of these kind of like skating through fight nights just to get us to the next pay-per-view. It's like they're keeping us on hand. But I'm not complaining. The pay-per-view is going to be great. This is the one everyone's looking forward to next week, Wednesday. Don Madge versus Nate Williams in the PFL. That go through this. You should be able to catch this on YouTube from 10:30 South African time. Again, I will post it up close to the time. We'll have a look at what's going on. Massively exciting moment for Don and for South African MMA, being the first South African in the PFL, which is super, super exciting if you ask me. I personally cannot wait. Yeah, I think that's it from me for this week. Shout out to Sylvester. Thank you for your time, man. Excited for all the guys. Get behind the guys. Don Madge Wednesday, and then Zakir Badat, Timber Garimbo, Sylvester Chipfumbu will all be at UAE Warriors on the 29th of October in the lead up to UFC 267 in Abu Dhabi. Stay tuned. Hit subscribe. If you haven't checked out Submission Kings yet on YouTube, please go ahead, hit subscribe there and help us get that going. We've got some awesome plans. We're already planning the next event. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll chat to you soon. Peace.